They're unidentified.
They're flying.
And they're objects. Hey, welcome everybody to Extra Normal Podcast. My name is Chris. Alongside me is my wife and co-host Brianna.
Hey guys.
What's up? How's everybody doing? I'm turning into a wilderness man. How's it going?
Alcoholic. Cheers.
No. This is apple juice.
Pretty much. Moscato.
Oh, this apple juice tastes disgusting. How's everybody doing?
We're good. We're what? In 8 weeks? 8 weeks.
Oh God, I don't know.
Quarantine.
We're still having fun. We bought a trampoline, so we're bouncing around.
Yeah.
We're actually been doing actually sort of related to this podcast. We've been doing much more stargazing now, which is cool.
Should we share a story about stargazing, which is really cool? So we were just like looking up at the stars the other night. This is his memory, by the way. And we're looking up at the stars, and it was really cool because it was just me and him. Clementine was in bed, bad parenting. We had the windows open. We would have heard anything if she would have come out.
Sure.
But, so we're just looking up and, trying to find the Big Dipper or whatever. And then I look up and I just said, what did I say? I said something like, gosh, like, I wonder, like, who's up there? Like, I just wonder who's out there. And right when I said that, one of the stars, it wasn't like a shooting star, but it was like the star, like, exploded. Right? Was that timing, like, spot on?
Definitely.
Coincidence? I think not. Just like what we're about to talk to.
Hold on, wait. So you think that there was like there was someone like flickering the lights on like a star somewhere? Because that was a star. So I don't think that was. I mean, maybe that wasn't a. Here's the thing. Maybe that wasn't a star. You thought it was a star, and it was a UFO instead. Maybe. More logical. But speaking of UFOs, we are going to talk about today. What's in the news? Everybody knows about it. On Monday, the Pentagon released 3 videos. They were out there. We'll get into how they got out there already. But officially, the Pentagon said these are the videos. And officially, they said we don't know what they are. The footage is from 2004 to late 2004, early 2005. And actually, so one of the cases, probably the most famous one, is from San Diego. David Fravor is in front of this. He was the pilot. Sure.
I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so.
You told us what? Yeah, but here's the thing. So
here we go.
So let's get into it before you get into it. So they actually so unidentified flying objects. They found 3 of them, and we'll get into actually some details on more that might have been discovered or seen prior to that on radar and the sort. But they actually identify them as unidentified aerial phenomenon. I think they're trying to get away from that UFO tag. And actually, I think that's even for the people who believe that aliens, whatever timeline you have on this, that aliens have come recently or they've come distant past or whatever. I think that's actually good, even if you're a believer, because I think the UFO tag, it's gone into a little bit of silliness. As much as I love it, and I love exploring it, and I love all the imagery, and I love the little green alien stuff and paraphernalia, I think that when you hear UFO, a lot of people who might necessarily not believe or need to be convinced or whatever, they automatically hear craziness or Roswell, like the weather balloons and stuff like that. So I don't think that's actually a bad thing.
Craziness. That's
what people hear. I mean, that's not to validate that theory, but UFO has got this. It's got this now. All of a sudden, it's it has this kind of baggage to it. So I think naming it a new thing actually might help the cause.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Meh.
I don't know. You don't seem convinced. I'm trying to help the team here in terms of let's relabel it. Let's get a PR team. Let's label it unidentified aerial phenomena. Let's get a new tag on it, and we can go with a fresh slate. No?
Well, maybe, but
you like all that baggage.
Well, I know that. Yeah, I mean, extraterrestrials probably don't even like to be called that. You know, like I've said in the past, they don't like being called aliens. They don't like being called extraterrestrials. You know, so maybe it is a better name for them to be called.
I'm saying let's aliens. Let's hire a PR team. Let's start calling ourselves UAPs, and then embrace the government's thing and say, yeah, of course we're out there. This is what the government's calling. This is who we are. So let's get into since we're talking about these fresh videos, let's get into what's on those videos. The most famous one again so the most famous one was taken off the coast of San Diego, off the Nimitz, was the air carrier.
Which is pretty interesting because there's been some sightings of things around the area that are very similar. So I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, so we could get into some of the details of that, like the fact that the pilot David Fravor, who's kind of the most out of all these 3 different videos taken 3 different times, 3 different areas, out of all these, he's probably
most vocal.
He's definitely the most vocal. 100% the most vocal. He's out there. He's done podcasts. He's done interviews, all that stuff since this article broke in 2017. That kind of blew the door off this whole thing. He's out there for sure. Yeah, he's the most famous. And you know that. So there's the San Diego video that was taken in late 2004, I think December of 2004. And then there's some off the East Coast of fast-moving objects. The one that is in San Diego, they refer to as David Fravor, the commander who saw it, and then they saw it on radar, dubbed them Tic Tacs, because he said that the object looked like a Tic Tac, which kind of takes away, unless I know that you believe in multiple aliens coming all over the place, different races of aliens, different
Definitely.
from coming, but this kind of takes away a little bit from the flying saucer.
I mean, yeah, because
At least that craft.
I mean, I think people that are into the UFO phenomenons, we all know that like the typical shape that you think the UFO is, like the rest of us have seen the other shapes. We've seen the diamond shapes. We've seen the oval shapes. We've seen the Tic Tac shapes. So
what was that? Wait, so for the audio listeners, she did a little
like
bunny ears.
Tic Tac is.
So I think here's the thing. He described the shape, and I think, from my perspective, because there's some weird shit that happens around these videos. So, you know, in terms of credence that I would place towards a lot, I think these 3 videos are definitely unexplainable at this point. There's definitely a possibility that it is something not of this world, especially since there's an eyewitness and radar to back it up. But this is kind of I think this is probably the most credible case.
Yeah, definitely.
And so the most credible case actually describes the objects or the spaceships or whatever the carriers as being of Tic Tac shape. So shouldn't that be the new, like, put it on a t-shirt, a little Tic Tac alien? Put it on a t-shirt, kids.
I mean,
you're tied to, again,
give it a gander.
Again, you're tied to that whole UFO thing. Like, yeah, you're tied to that.
Well,
for sure.
The thing is with the Tic Tac, if that's what you want to call it, the interesting part.
That is what I want to call it, because David Fravor, my commander, called it that.
Well, it shape shifts. It doesn't stay in that shape, and that's like the interesting thing about these videos. And when it goes light speed, it basically just like disappears. Like.
Here, can I give an argument why it wouldn't shapeshift?
Go ahead.
Is that apparently the people who are definitely on the boat of this is an alien, one of the most prominent ideas on why because the objects move in strange ways. So one of the theories is that they use anti-gravitational energy essentially to move. So they were talking about it doesn't matter. Essentially, if you develop the technology where it's anti-gravitational, so you don't need propulsion, you don't need the fire, the push, or whatever that you get in standard jets and you get in helicopters with the blades and stuff spinning. If they had that technology, they can make it in any shape. They can make it in the shape of a bunny, and it doesn't matter. They don't need to shapeshift. So I think Tic Tacs are the new UFOs, as far as I'm concerned. Because for me, like, this is the most credible sighting, circumstance, all that.
Here's the thing, like, I know.
Are you gonna? So I finally am like, this is weird. This is gonna be it, guys. And now you're the one who's saying no.
No, I definitely
Okay.
believe
Okay.
it's
I was about to fall
something out
over.
of this world, 100%. But I think because we're in the middle of a pandemic, like, I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around why the government's releasing it now. Like, I'm really.
Well, yeah.
having issues.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a little.
I think
it's
where I'm at.
obvious. I think it's actually
I'm
obvious.
a little bit in awe still. Like, this just happened, 4 days ago? And I'm like,
Well, it's been out there, so the video's been floating out there. But the fact that the government
it's
caught to
admitting,
it.
finally.
I mean, they admitted to it, actually. They admitted to it back in
Roswell, what really
2019.
Like, we all really want the rest.
And here's the thing that leads some credence to it, too, is that the government usually will try to finagle an answer, even if they just don't know. Even if there's not any kind of underlying scheme or anything, if they're not hiding alien bodies in a basement somewhere or something like that. The fact that usually the government has like a go-to like explanation that is either real or fake, or it's kind of a way for them to get out of it. This one, they released it and they're like, we don't know what it is. We have no idea. And that's actually, I think that's actually.
Do you think somebody blackmailed them?
No, I don't. I think that actually, I do believe that in at least modern times right now, I think there's a kind of a credible theory that, and actually I got a lot of this from David Fravor himself, who said that he wasn't visited by the Men in Black. Like, he wasn't. I mean, he could be lying. Could give him that. But if you think he's lying about that, it kind of takes away his credibility in terms of what he saw that day. But he said that he wasn't visited by any Men in Black. Like, he wasn't, like, he didn't have any, like, he's had government meetings, like, with, like, high-ranking government officials post this, but he wasn't visited, and they weren't like, don't say anything, you got to keep this under wrap. So I think the government literally just doesn't know what they are. I think this is a pretty credible circumstance of, aliens being smarter than us. If they are here, if they're showing up, it's to me, it's unknown. But if that's so that's in one of the chambers of the gun, essentially, is that it is a UFO. And if that's the case, I think that they're clever, and the government, they're not like in cahoots with the government, because they're like, fuck this, like, we have anti-gravitational stuff, we're far above you, we're not going to come down and we're going to get captured and we're going to work with you guys. No, they're just kind of visiting. If they are, I think the government, I truly
visiting.
Sure.
They live here.
Scouting. Well, they might. I mean, that's one of, they might. But if they do, where are they hiding these spacecraft? So let's go up.
Okay, so for the one in San Diego was the underwater one, correct?
So there was that was the one that of these three famous videos. I believe they think that it might have been underwater for some time.
So that's nothing new. Like, that's actually been a more recent, I want to say in the last year, the underwater UFO phenomenon.
No.
Is actually, like, they've been surfacing that, like, more stories are coming out. Like, they're saying one that they've seen crafts come up from out of the water.
But why would they?
Coming from Catalina Island in California.
There's been stuff like that. The Pacific Ocean, or the Pacific coast is been, especially it seems recently, has been infamous for sightings of stuff coming out of the water, and who knows what that is.
Even the natives, though, because there's even, like,
yeah, I mean, you would always see
that the story is like these. I think they thought they were like dragons or serpents or something that had come up from out of the water. So that's definitely something, again, that's been in history. Yeah,
no, there's definitely been, and here's the thing too, is that I think, and the reason why one of this is I'm so excited to talk about this is because a lot of these, and I'm using my jazz hands for people listening to audio, which is lovely. You should see it sometime. Check out our YouTube page, Extra Normal Podcast. Look it up. I think that I completely lost my train of thought, but no, I think that, there's always been people seeing stuff, and there's always been weird stuff in the sky, and our eyes always, the human mind places connections when there's not always connections. We look for reasons in things even when there's we try to find meaning and stuff when it could just be a deception of our eyes. But this one, the reason why I'm so excited about this is because this whole thing was picked up by infrared. It was moving weird. The government can't explain it away, that sort of thing. So it's very, to me, it's like, this is, to me, probably this is the best case for alien visitation. It's not a slam dunk. Like, you didn't see little green men coming out, like, shaking David Fravor's hand or anything like that. But in terms of evidence you're going to throw in front of somebody, if you believe and try to convince them, I think this is probably the best.
Yeah, I mean,
it's better than like, a lot of the, like, it's based, a lot of the stuff before with, like, in the ancient stuff, it's based on interpretation or stuff like this. This is kind of what one of the things that we've hashed out a little bit in the past is that, like, a lot of the ancient stuff, it's up to interpretation, and I think it's fine if you think it is visitations or something like that. But it's a lot of interpreting. It's a ton of interpreting paintings and the sort. This one, it's like infrared, and it's a Navy pilot, seeing this stuff. That's weird, and I do think that it does. There's a plethora of possibilities that it could be non-alien. There's who knows, but I think that
because doesn't David say in one of his interviews that, like, they would fuck around with people and, like, flash their lights that were camping.
Yeah, so we were watching some interviews with David Fravor, and they would actually, there's a lot of the test missions and stuff like that were in the middle of California, where it's just basically desert and shit like that. And people would camp, and they would essentially they would kill the engines to be quiet, essentially, like a drive-by status, and then they would flash up. They'd jet up and they'd flash the lights so that people would report seeing UFOs when it was just literally Navy pilots just fucking.
You know
with
what
people.
A bummer that would be, like, because I would tell you, obviously, because I believe I would, like yeah, like, what was that? And then hearing stories like that.
Yeah, and I think that there's, for better or worse, there's a lot of that. I think a lot of the and it doesn't diminish anybody who's seen anything or anything like that. But I think a lot of it is, and I think it's also important to report things, like, even with, like, just for science sake. I think that, even though I think the vast majority, even if my mind can tilt towards UFOs coming and visiting, I think the vast majority of is this, lights playing deception and stuff like on that. But I think it's important to report this stuff, and I think it's good to, like, and that's why, as much as MUFON is kind of, it's, it is what it is, but they do important work in terms of, like, if you have a story, we'll listen to it, and we'll try to validate it. So I think it's important. So any of you kids out there, if you see anything strange, just report it. I mean, it's probably, I hate to break your heart, but it's probably not a UFO. Even if UFOs are coming, it's probably not. I know we all think we're the lucky ones, but it's probably not. But report it. I
still say what I saw in the sky, like, in our podcast 3 or 4 ago.
3 or 4 ago.
The red, like, pulsing ring. Definitely UFO. And then people are already trying to stop me, saying, like, oh, maybe it was a particle from some aircraft and some experiment. No. Because if it was a particle, it'd be moving. This was literally pulsating in one spot for, like, 20 seconds. And who knows how much longer then. That was just at the point where, me and my friends were, like, stargazing, and we looked up and we're like, oh. So I definitely believe that was something out of this world.
Well, yeah. What do you think so I tag the percentage as low, like, people seeing stuff. And we'll get back, tangent. Surprise.
I want to say probably 50-50. I think there's.
So you think 50% of people seeing stuff in the sky is real?
Yeah.
That's too much visitation. Aliens get caught that way. No, I don't think.
No,
I think
don't.
if here's my.
Look at how long they've been doing this. No, because nobody wants to believe. Nobody wants to accept.
Well, I think that.
And they're thriving off of that.
I think. Well, I don't know. I think that.
That's how they got by for so long.
For me, there's not enough tangibles to think that it's 50-50. I mean, I don't know. I think that this is definitely like let's get back into this and see why this might be the most credible and why this might actually be, despite the percentages of what you believe might be real and might be fake, this might be actually one of these, or all two of the three might be real.
The one under the water, like that gets me for sure.
Well, I think so let's get into, David Fravor was so this happened in 2004, and David Fravor was a commander on the Nimitz. He was a fighter pilot, that sort of thing. And they were actually, I believe they were prepping to go to the Gulf, because we're in a million wars all the time, which is probably another conspiracy theory that we'll get into. Episode 110, write it down. So they were doing test missions, which shouldn't be a hard word, but it is. Test missions off the coast of San Diego, getting ready, getting prepped, testing all the jets and all that stuff. And they were doing it one day, getting ready for, I think in mid-December, and they essentially they would play tag with the Marines. Like the Navy would go out and then they'd run the mission with the Marines and that sort of thing to train. It's like blue team, red team type of thing. So David Fravor and his co-pilot and actually another fighter jet were going off to do this test run. And they got what they call a real world vector, I believe is how he referred to it. And vector is just in apparently in military terms, that's just the mission. And so they were going to do this training, and then essentially the control tower told them to go and check out this thing. And actually before that, jumping back a couple steps, is that they apparently the control tower or someone on that carrier said, yeah, we've been having these weird sightings for the last 14 days. And to be clarified, to be candid on it, or fully transparent on it, it was infrared like abnormalities. Like it wasn't like people have been seeing like crazy shit for 14 days. They've been seeing crazy stuff on the radar and the sort. So they told him to veer off and go into this, what they called a real world vector. So he goes, and I forget what altitude he's at, but he's at a higher altitude. And they finally come to this point in the radar, and they see it down there. So they punch in on the radar. The other fighter pilot stays up, and he slowly goes down. And he said, and his description of it was like a tic tac. And he was definitely confused by it. And he said, this is a quote from him, as I got close to it, it rapidly accelerated to the south and disappeared in less than 2 seconds. It was extremely like a ping pong ball bouncing off a wall. It would hit and go the other way. So he saw this. He kind of circled. He tried to catch up to it to see what it was. And it essentially came towards him and just disappeared. And he said that
So he's kind of playing chicken with them. Because wasn't he going towards it? And so it was kind of like, okay.
Yeah, and allegedly, these things, apparently, according to the control tower, David Fravor's account of what the control tower told him, they would come down at 80,000 feet, which is high. And then they would go down to 20,000 feet. They'd hang out for a little while, and then they'd go back up. So that's what he essentially said, that it was low. It was at the point where it was at the 20,000 foot mark. He went down to try to catch up to it, essentially, and it essentially came at him a little bit and then went up back to that 8,000 feet and just disappeared. And
so wild.
It is wild, and they did get it on. So that was an eyewitness account, right, from David Fravor, and apparently, so he's the most talkative one out of these because there's 4, right? There was 4 people who were there.
Mind you, he's the most talkative, but he's very much not like into UFOs like how I am, like one, and he's not out there saying like, yeah, that was an alien. He's very much like, it was an unidentified flying object. Could have been from Russia. Could have been from. He speculates it could have been from anywhere. He's not going to be like me, like, oh yeah, 100% that was from.
I think he's
very skeptic. Like
I think he believes that he saw something not of this world. I think he believes that.
He believes that, but the way that if you guys ever, I think you guys should actually we should maybe share a link or something to when he's speaking, because like watching him is actually pretty interesting because he's very much like, leave me alone, I'll give you the information, but he's not trying to make like this into a career. Like, pay me to speak.
No, I don't think he's trying to do
all.
it. I think he's actually has
and that's why
a really good career.
I respect him. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, I think that, and that's the thing too, is that when you, so I think that there's a lot of factors when you have UFO sightings. I think his is the most credible because of, one, he was a commander aboard a Navy, a Navy carrier. Like, has a lot of years of service. The fact that he just reported it, and he wasn't really open about it until this article came out in 2017. And let's get into that a little bit. So this all broke open because the New York Times started fishing around, and Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 fame started fishing around and getting answers and stuff like this. And they found, and these videos surfaced, and the New York Times wrote now a very, very famous article back in 2017. And that's a pretty long time ago. So these videos have been floating around for some years now. And the New York Times interviewed David Fravor and some other people in the sort. And that's the first time he actually was open about it and kind of doing interviews and that sort. So that lends a lot of credibility to him in terms of seeing something unidentified. I don't think he's trying to slang books. And I think that's sometimes an unfortunate side effect of kind of what we talk about and that sort of thing, is that some people take advantage of people believing in this stuff and they just make up shit. Like, they just purely make up shit. But this guy, he has, he doesn't really have a skin in the game. And I do like the fact that he seems, another thing that lends to his credibility is that the fact that he says, no, Men in Black didn't come show up to my door. I just reported it, and then it was done. It wasn't classified for this reason. Nobody just asked me because it was weird. I don't know. That actually lends a lot of credibility, that he wasn't and then I was visited by Men in Black and the government, and then they showed me the alien body and stuff like that. That leaves a ton of, because I do think that there's some merit to how he described it and how he.
And was he the one who mentioned his wife's father was in the military or Air Force? And
no.
Pretty much said he saw the same thing?
No, so he went into so you can imagine the floodgates that opened up after this came out.
Yeah.
And anybody who managed to get his phone number, how many calls he got, saying I saw an alien, I am an alien, whatever. Just the amount of calls that he would get. So he got one call from, I think, a 79-year-old woman who said that I believe her father, in the late 50s, her father actually showed her a telegram or something, some official government document that said that essentially aliens were visiting or whatever. And that's where that came from. I don't know if I believe that lady, but I don't know. But
it was something in regards to how it was kind of the same situation, where it wasn't oh, aliens came and said hi or they abducted me. It was there was these crafts. It was kind of the same type of reports.
Yeah, I mean, I think that,
wow, that.
I think honestly, in terms of, I'm not saying the government's not in cahoots with as many people as they can, but I think that's a really if you believe that UFOs, if you believe that the evidence proves out that UFOs have come. I think there's a really good point to the fact that if they came, but they're not established, they're not Mars attacks, they're not coming down red carpets, taking over the world, I think they would go incognito.
Yeah, I think depending on.
Because why would okay, so in a world where these aliens have this technology and they're coming down for, I don't know, scouting, tourism, whatever it is, why would they make contact with us? Why would they make? Let me rephrase that, because there's reasons why they would make contact with us, because as human beings, if we're any kind of, and unfortunately human beings shape everything in their world. But if, in terms of putting it in the context of human beings, if we finally got out to a planet that had intelligent life, there's something poetic to someone butchering the word intelligent life. It just proves out my point. That we would probably make contact and say, we come in peace and all that bullshit. Why would the aliens reach out, let alone get fucking captured? That's one of the things that the hurdles that I have issuing, or I mean, I guess they can only get up as far as Earth and crash, but getting past the fact that like aliens probably wouldn't get captured if they're savvy enough to get here. Why would they just make contact with the governments, right? And without meeting the common people or the culture and stuff. Like, why would they be so secretive?
They're observing.
But why would they, if they're just observing, why would they reach
culture.
out to the government? Why would they be like, hey, government, you guys want to shack up? You want to be in cahoots?
I think that they're probably to keep the peace, and so there isn't a world war or, with another world.
They don't give a shit about that. They could fuck us up. If they have anti-gravitational...
There's
or
stuff
whatever
here
it
that
is.
they need. Like, if you look at the ancients, like,
So why wouldn't they just take it?
We all love gold, right? So they're using gold for a different reason. They're not friggin' wearing it as jewelry. It's a resource to them. I feel like it's something that either fuels their crafts. They've found a way to manipulate it to revive their lives. There's something here on our planet that they need.
But why wouldn't they just...
That's why they won't just blow us all up.
But I'm not saying they, there's a world where they... So there's a few worlds. So there's this world that seems to be David Fravor's interpretation, if aliens exist, of that world, is that they're coming, they're laying low, and then they're jamming out. And speaking of jamming, apparently one of the things that freaked David Fravor out and the other pilots on that mission was that they seem to believe, especially David seems to believe, that whatever object they saw down below, it jammed their satellite, or jammed their radar.
Oh yeah.
So why would they? So if they're here, that's the thing. I think David Fravor's actually account of possible aliens is pretty. I think, it's circling all the way back to him being credible. I think that makes more sense to me. That the aliens, if they're coming, they're either coming wholesale, like we are here. We're just here to borrow some of your gold. We need it. Sorry, guys. We'll pay you back for it, and then they just end up butchering us. Or they're just completely secretive. I can't see a world where aliens... It's possible. Everything's possible, and it's completely possible. But for me, in terms of like playing detective and finding the most logical thing, if aliens did come down in 2004 and 2005, that they are essentially doing scouting missions. They don't want to be seen, especially by the government, and they won't be seen by the government because they're smarter. They have this technology.
Why would you think that they were coming? They're looking for some kind of resources, some kind of minerals, human DNA that was maybe thousands of years ago manipulated. There's so many reasons.
But then you're opening up. So I'm trying to look at. So we're taking it and we're expounding on it. I'm saying on the surface level, on the very face of it, if David Fravor's simple account is left at that, there's no real evidence, at least in this sighting. There's other situations that we're going to be talking about in further episodes and sort. But in this situation, the credence leads to alien race that has no connections with the government. Because here's the thing too, is that, and I know there's a lot of, we could talk about, let's get into real quick before we bounce around even more. Let's bounce around a little bit and talk about why you think the government released it now. Or they copped to it so here's the thing, they copped to it in 2019. So that kind of That they're saying there was. I think one of the reasons why they released it now is they wanted to at least try. Who knows? They wanted to at least try to prove the point that there wasn't any altered like that the minute that we saw wasn't the whole minute, and like 30 seconds after the video we saw there was like a little green man like waving or whatever.
It's like it's a manipulation thing. I think that like they've always known, like we have Roswell. There's so many things that link to it with, the ancients that. So I feel like right now, like this is where I'm really confused why they would do it right now. Like we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like,
well, I think that makes the most sense.
So many other things going on, and then to throw that in, we've had earthquakes in the last month. Then to throw that in, and there's been memes going on, all joking around. All we need is an alien invasion, and then all of a sudden they're like, by the way, this happened like years ago, but we're gonna release it right now in the middle of this pandemic. So that's where I'm like having some issues, like wondering like why are they doing that, and that's where all the conspiracy.
Well, I think that it's I guess it's a conspiracy, but I think it's a simple conspiracy. If you, no matter what, so if you're on the camp where you think that aliens came down and the government knows about it, and they're well aware of it and everything, they would release it around this time to bury it, right? So that people wouldn't be talking about it, so there wouldn't be paranoia, so there wouldn't be hysteria as much, right?
I mean, there's so many things. It could have been, maybe there's something bigger that's going to happen, and they felt that, okay, we got to let them in gently because on this certain date,
maybe
something serious is going to happen, and we want to be able to say, we told you so. Like, hey, you can't say we didn't warn you. Like, you can't.
Well, I mean, I think we're trying to find meaning in it, but I think that it's a simple PR move from the government. So even if so you don't want people, even if it's a simple explanation, right? That the government saw this stuff and they were like, we don't know what the fuck it is. Who knows? I mean, we looked into it. We'll get into how they looked into it. We looked into it. Seems weird, but we don't know. They would still bear it because they don't want people. One, they don't want a bunch of people coming in inquiring. That's more more work for their government employees. They don't want, hysteria coming on. They don't want people trying to storm Area 51 again. They don't want all this stuff happening. So as a PR move, you bury it, right? Because you want it. So you put it in the middle of a pandemic. People talk about it for a couple of days, and then it's, people still talk about it, but they're not like, not heightened.
Yeah, they're too worried about protesting.
And if you believe that the government is involved with this and that they know more than they're letting on or whatever, that there's more footage or there's more information after the fact, you bury it, right? Because you don't want people snooping around. So I think either way, I think to explain the timing of it, I think for me, most likely, there's all kinds of reasons that could be behind it. And again, if you have any ideas on what you think is behind it, you can shoot us an email at extranormalpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up at extranormalpodcast on Instagram, extranormalp on Twitter.
Please share with us because I could go on.
There's all kinds of theories, but I think the simple and the thing that makes the most sense to me is they're just trying to bury it. No matter what is behind all that shit and what they found out in the government program, I just think they're trying to fucking bury it. They're like, it's like, this is bad PR either way. Think about the bad PR either way. So either you're housing aliens or you know about aliens, you have more information, or that
but it just doesn't make sense.
You can't get shit together and figure it out.
Like Roswell, the same day it came out, like, it's like, oh, like it's in the newspaper, headliner, UFO, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day it's covered up. Like,
well, I think that's a simple explanation. I think the reason why that got out there, I think that, so in the case of Roswell, it was old-timey as fuck because the farmer found the shit. The farmer took the shit to the sheriff. Sheriff's like, well, I don't know. Let's tell the newspaper. The newspaper got it, and the government came in and said, no. And we talked about Roswell in a few episodes ago, and it could have been government cover-up. It could have been government cover-up related to aliens or government cover-up relating to some secret work they were doing to combat Russia at the time. That's how that happened. I think this makes a lot of sense in terms of it never getting out in the newspaper because it was a military thing. Like you don't, and what I saw too from David Fravor, again, him kind of shooting down like the whole Men in Black theory of it. Definitely David, I don't want to get confused. David Fravor definitely not shooting down the idea of it being something of a different world. Definitely not shooting, but shooting down kind of a
The typical,
larger government cover up of it. He said that, you know, like that a lot of the information that was on those radars and the TVs and stuff like that showed these crafts or objects or whatever, that they contained like pertinent information to these specific jets, and you don't want, you know, other governments getting and finding that info. So I think that really, I mean, I hate to pour cold water on that because I know there's some 5G conspiracies and stuff like that. I think it was just a fucking straight up PR move. I think they knew. I think they knew. I don't. Here's the conspiracies. I don't know if they'd give that up if it weren't for this New York Times article and Tom DeLonge's group and stuff like that. I don't know if they'd give it up. I don't know if if the Times didn't break the story and the Academy of the Arts and Stars didn't break this story, I don't know if it'd be out there. That's the conspiracy theory, is that they still be holding on to this. But they copped to it. They said the video is real. So I don't know.
It's wild.
It is so wild. I mean,
unless
this is the thing, and this is the thing that kind of intrigues me about this subject in terms of alien stuff, is that this one is legit. Like, it could be fucking all kinds of shit. Like, and it could be one of the explanations for sure. It could be aliens. It could be 100%, especially because you're talking about eyewitness accounts and radar and stuff like that.
The government fucking with us.
It could be the government fucking with us. It could be, I don't know. And one of the things that I think that for me, I don't think, and because David, again, I sound like I'm at the chapel of David Fravor, but one of the things for me that makes me believe that it was either just pilots, like eyes playing tricks on them, or aliens. That the reason why I don't believe it was like a Russian, like, new technology and stuff like that.
God, I hope not.
is there no knowledge, and then also he made the good point is that it's 2020. If you're dating this podcast, it's 2020. That video was taken in 2004. You don't think if any government was working on this shit, you don't think they'd flush that out or get it out there in like a decade? Yeah. Especially if it's a technology that David Fravor kind of imagined that he saw and stuff, that he interpreted and stuff like that, like, that would be out there if it was a government. Right.
It just makes me so mad, though, because it's like, I still don't understand why the timing is just, like, if it was like 2 months ago, like right before this happened.
They're just trying to cover it up. They're not even trying to cover it up. They're just trying to be like, this is out there, now move on. That's what they're trying to do. They don't want, I don't think they want, I don't think the government, again, it's like, it's either like, we are holding on to this information. We weren't going to give it to you anyways, but whatever. It got out, and this is it, or they have more stuff, or it's like, we're the government, but we're not really bright enough to figure out what happened, like what this is. Like, either way, it looks bad for them.
Yeah.
Like, because it's just not, and there's some stuff that is unexplained. So let's get a little further into what the response was. So, because of this situation, Senator from Nevada, Harry Reid, who's actually kind of, I think he's a big, again, I like Harry Reid because he says that we should explore and we should find more answers. He does not saying that aliens are 100% there or not, but he wants to find answers, which is important. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, because we'll get into what it was, but $22 million was spent. $22 million of official money. There's all kinds of theories that this program is still going on, that there's still searches, which I believe that anything that's unidentified, they're going to look into it. But the dedicated program, which was called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, otherwise I think popularly known as ATIP, is kind of what the people in the know call it, was set up in 2007. Again, it was allocated $22 million. And in a world where I think I saw somewhere on, Jeremy Cabral or something like that. I saw somewhere, excuse me if I'm not giving you proper credit or butchering it, said that, or I think it might have been David. All hail David. That the government budget last year for the Pentagon spending was $750 billion. And so when you're talking about, which is insane, and we can explore in episode 98 all the conspiracy theories that are behind all this government spending and who's in charge and what are they making and all that stuff. But in the scheme of things, $22 million over 5 years, not $22 million per year, but $22 million over 5 years is fucking penance. Like, that's nothing. So they set this up. A now famous individual, Luis Elizondo, was ahead of this. Do you know why he's famous now?
No way.
Because he actually went off to so I jumped too far ahead. I got excited, but so the money dried up in 2012, right? And it cut funding. So this Luis Elizondo got frustrated because he felt like he was getting undercut. So he actually went over to the company that was formed by Tom DeLonge, which is the Academy of the Arts and Stars, I believe. He went over to that and kind of broke the news on this a little bit. So, that was, so they did this. The weird thing is, so Henry Reid, the senator from Nevada, pushed for this money, and there was actually two senators who are very much about it. One actually, the senator, Republican from Alaska, who's now passed on, but at the time he was a senator, and he actually said he was tailed by an unidentified object in his time as a pilot, because he was a pilot. But so it's
crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So Henry Reid, or Harry Reid, not Henry Reid. Henry Reid's a different person. Sorry, Henry. Harry Reid, he actually, and this is you're probably familiar with his name, but Robert Bigelow. Have you ever heard of Robert Bigelow?
Sounds familiar.
So for some reason, a lot of this money that was allocated, 22 million, went to this. He worked in aerospace. He owned aerospace companies, and it went to him to research this stuff and figure it out. He actually has been stated on the record that he does believe aliens exist. So, there's a lot of people who were in. So the thing that also lends some credence to this is that there's a lot of people who are in. So David Fravor is the one who saw it, and he says that he believes it's an alien, right? Luis Elizondo, the man who headed the group, believes that there's more to what we know and the public knows than, there's more than what the public knows. This Robert Bigelow, who was given the funds to kind of explore this, says he believes that there's aliens exist. There's a lot of like soft credence to this. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I won't be surprised.
Is there details of what Luis thinks there's more to what we know? Like, does he?
I don't think he'll say. I don't think he'll say. I think that there's a lot of classified information.
That could mean so many different things.
And that can mean that, and also too, like, it's pouring a room temperature water on it, not cold water. But I think that, I don't know if that Luis Elizondo is saying that because he's seen Little Green Men. I think he's seen more than we've seen, and that lends him to believe that aliens exist, believe that there's more to this and stuff like that. Same thing with Robert Bigelow. He believes that aliens exist. He doesn't say that I know that aliens exist. So they've probably seen more stuff than we. So he hasn't really. Luis, I think David called him Lou. He believes that there's more to it, but he hasn't really divulged all the information. So yeah, there's theories that the program actually is still going on, that the funding just officially got quashed.
Interesting. Wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what, another thing, apparently they researched this program ATIP. They also researched so Robert Bigelow is from Nevada, or he's from Vegas, and Harry Reid, the senator, is also from Vegas. There is apparently, and this is just, I don't think either one of them have confirmed it, but there's all kinds of rumors, and it was published in the New York Times article, that there is different alloys, which is a combo of metals that are in housed for research and discovery and all that stuff in multiple Las Vegas hotels.
I believe it.
I guess I have to ask you, have you ever felt weird in any of the hotels? Besides the fact that you're bunking up with me, have you ever felt weird in any of the hotels? Like Circus has alloys. Would that be the spot to have alloys? Because nobody fucking look.
No.
You could have it right in the fucking middle and nobody's going to give a shit. Or
No.
You haven't felt weird?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, we're always intoxicated, so.
This is true.
Yeah, so no.
Yeah, so that's really so ATIP. They disbanded in 2012. And yeah, that was kind of the end of that officially. I mean, I do think the government shut down a lot of the books. I think that. So if you believe that there's Men in Black and there's like Project Blue Book has been going on for it never ended. I think you probably believe that they're still discovering stuff and there's still all kinds of secret programs. But I think that based on kind of the kind of the theory that's floating in my head, if it is aliens that they're just coming here, they're jamming our radar, they're getting out, they don't want to be fucking bothered, all that shit. I think that the government officially just lost focus and lost fucking interest in it. I think they were like, we don't know what it is. We're not gonna.
What did the president's comment?
It's a hell of a video. My favorite part of that, I think we already talked about this. He said it's a hell of a video if it's real. For the president to say that, because who knows? I mean, there's all kinds of theories that actually presidents aren't privy to this stuff. Like I think on one of the interviews with David Fravor, like one of the people who claim to be an expert, who has probably much more knowledge than I do, said that that a lot of the presidents, like President Carter, said he saw a UFO or something strange, and then he was mum about it as soon as he got in office. Did JFK say he saw one?
There's conspiracy theories.
But did he say he saw one?
Supposedly he was going to release it, and then he got his head blown off. Just saying. He was, because he felt that, it stated that he felt that we needed to know. That's not fair that we don't know.
What did he say? Like, do you remember what he said? Did he say like?
It was a letter that he wrote. I forget who he wrote it to, but it was a
just not fair
letter that stated that, like, the people need to know. And I'm going to
need to know about aliens. Like he specifically dropped the alien bomb. He's like, the aliens are here.
People that we're not alone.
Well, yeah, nobody's alone. Just reach out if you need us. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So, but anyways, so Bill Clinton said that he was going to blow the doors off of it and stuff like that. I think that Did
Obama ever say?
I don't know if he referenced UFOs or aliens. You can let us know if he did, but I don't recall either way. I mean, this was right in the heart of when he was president. That when they were doing the official research, when they were doing the official research.
Yeah, I would like to interview him now and say, if it was brought to his attention.
I don't know if it was ever brought to his attention. I don't know if that. See, and the thing too is that there's a lot of speculation that presidents do not know about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they all do know, to be honest.
You think you think all the president's men and all the presidents? How many people? So, question: how many people at any given time? So there's some ones. If you believe Roswell was an alien, an actual alien like crash and stuff like that, most of those people have croaked. Sorry to be so blunt, but they've croaked. At any given time, what's the number of people that know, like, confirm, like, soundly know that aliens exist? Like, not just, like...
Wasn't there, like, over 100 people, though, that like, witnessed something that happened?
No, I'm talking about government, because there's a lot of people, like, there's people like, I saw something in the sky. Like, I'm talking about, like... like presidents and stuff like that, or like they're like, no, I fucking know. Like I've seen,
I think they're all
Bobby
affiliated.
Alien in the. But how many do you think it's in the hundreds or the tens? You think it's only the president and like two other guys?
In the, like, you mean right now, like, so to speak, or just like, I think everybody that's in
Any given
office
time.
definitely knew.
That's one,
I
yeah.
think that there are people that work for them know. I think that presidents probably keep stuff from their family. I think if, like, say President Trump knows the truth, right?
He'd say that shit in a heartbeat. Like he'd be like, just for bragging rights, he'd be like, I know
That's true.
aliens are real.
But he'd probably be like, don't tell anybody. But, like, I think that, like,
He'd say that on camera.
I think that they tell the presidents not to share this, like, data with their family members, friends, and that kind of stuff outside the White House. I think it's something that they have to inform them of because they have to be ready for the next step.
In the world of like aliens and stuff like that, like believing they came is one. It's hard for me to, and I know, and this is not. I'm not giving the government any kudos because I know if they knew that shit, they'd cover it up. I just don't know if they knew. I don't know if aliens. I mean, if there's crashes, obviously, like I feel like the only way the government would truly know about aliens is two circumstances. Either they crashed, like someone fucked up, like the pirate had a little bit of too much space juice, and he crashed, or they're specifically going to the government and saying, "We're here, don't tell nobody. Like we don't want to."
Yeah, I think that's number two.
That's like this is a
I think
direct
that's
message.
it.
Don't put it in
Yep.
our feed.
Yep.
You think that?
And
But
I
why?
think
But
that-
why would they? Why would they?
Why would our government go with it? They know that they're.
Oh, I know why
Americans. They know that
I know why our
they can
government.
take us out in one shot.
See, that's the
It's
thing
been done in
that.
the
See,
past
that's the
before.
leap that's a little harder, and it's possible. It truly is possible. But the hard part for me in terms of like how alien encounters and how alien connections work is I get why the government would want to talk to an alien and want to get their technology. I 100% get that. That makes 100%. I just don't get the skin in the game for the aliens.
I mean, maybe they just want to be left alone. Like you said, I'm coming in, getting my minerals, whatever the fuck, gold, whatever the fuck they're looking for. They're coming in, they're getting their shit they want to. Don't ask me questions, don't ask me.
Oh, so you're saying it's like if we were to throw a party, we let the neighbors know, like give them a soft, like you're not really invited, but we're gonna have a party. Don't call the cops.
Yeah.
Like you think that's what it is?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many theories. Like, I believe that could be one of them. I think that they're controlling the government. We're hybrids. Like, there's so many things that I could go on and on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's all kinds of things that could be happening, and when you start talking about hybrids and controlling the government, like who knows? They're not going to give us. So, if that was the case, if that was something that was happening, they're not going to give us a lot of evidence. That we're not going to really, like if aliens were controlling the government, right, and they're like, Donald Trump do this, Andrea Merkel do this, is it Andrea? It's Merkel, the German chancellor. They would be like, we probably wouldn't know, right? I feel like if they were controlling the government, we would have no inkling of it.
Yeah.
Zero inkling of it. So this whole theory is running around. Like, I mean, people are using, expounding on it, on certain things. But I feel like the most natural thing, and not to harp on it, is that, man, aliens are, if they're coming down here, they're smarter than us. They're showing up. They're like, we don't fucking talk to you.
Yeah. You
think that an alien is going to want to talk to most of the presidents in the past without getting political?
No.
I won't even say which ones they will and won't talk to. You think they'd want to spend their time with most of the presidents?
No. But if supposedly, they say the presidents are hybrids, if that's the
So
case,
they say.
I mean, they are related to them. So
that's some half-ass hybrids. Like, here's the thing, is that if we're making hybrids, like, if aliens are making hybrids, they need to get someone else head of hybrid department, because, what we're doing, and the fact that we're just destroying our Earth, like, we're just demolishing it because we're just human beings and that's just what we do. Like, come on, aliens, build some better hybrids.
Well, especially the one that's in charge.
That's not aliens. Let's not build a Prius. Let's build some Teslas, aliens. I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, do you have anything else to add to this fantastic?
I mean, honestly, my mind's so blown. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it because it's insane. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they finally are releasing this. But then, like you said, like, oh, it's just because they want to cover, like, just, like, bury it. And I'm just kind of like, how can you bury something so fucking phenomenal, you know?
Oh, because
like,
they don't,
I know.
They don't, like, here's the thing about the government, too, is they don't give a shit about, unless we're freaking out, unless we're coming down, they don't care how we feel about it. If they figured it out, if they have some inkling on what it was or who it was, or, you know, the hybrids or the aliens are visiting, you know, the president or whatever, they don't give a shit. Like, they know what they know and they got it. If they don't know, they don't give a shit about that either because they don't know. So, like, who cares what you guys think? We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I think they might. They might. They might. And I think it's a possibility. But I think the important thing for us is we don't know what it is. And I think that's important because it opens up the possibility to all kinds of shit. And it opens up the possibility to, you know, even kind of what you said is that maybe this is getting our feet in the water in terms of information. And then there's more going to be released. But I don't think... So if this is... I feel like because the government got caught, like, right? They had this video. I don't know if they necessarily got caught. They were just holding on to it. They're like, we don't know what it is. Like, who gives a shit? And then we're like, we give a shit. Like, and then they were like, oh, I guess we'll release it. I guess we'll give it back to you. But I think that if they had more... And there's no other, like, New York Times articles or Tom DeLonge or another member of, like, Travis Barker going on the scene and discovering some alien stuff. Travis, if you're listening, hunt it down. I believe in you. I don't think they're going to release it. I don't think they would. Why? Because it's like, they're like, a lot of times the government, in terms of classified information, unless people are knocking on the door, they're just like, this is our shit. Like, this is our info. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's the fucking government, and that's why I just feel
it's the fucking government.
I feel like we need to just, you know, figure out the truth for ourselves. Like I told him the other day, the guy sitting next to me. I told him the other day, like, it's a feeling. Like, he's like, how do you know? It's like, what's your tangible evidence? And I said, I don't know, like, but it's a feeling that I have inside of me, like,
it's just a feeling.
That's all that I feel like that I need, because I know it's something that's always been known. It's always, I feel like,
well, I think it's important for people to believe that this definitely could be aliens, because we cannot, and that's the thing that is so great about this video, is that the government can't rule out aliens. They can't even come up with a fucking, like, alternative, like, this is a weather balloon bullshit. They have no fucking clue what it is. So I think it's important for people to try to prove it out, and it's hard, especially like, if you believe, again, that these are aliens. They jammed up the radar and they're out. Like, for those who believe, if you're looking to find them, if you're looking to play Sherlock Holmes and catch, good fucking luck. Because and I don't think, and that's why one of the reasons why I think that the government in this case, maybe in other cases they do know, but in this case, with whatever these aliens are, I think they're like, no. We're going to jam up your SIM. We're out of here. Like, we don't want to fucking talk to you people. Like, you know, I'm sure that the whatever alien on Nabu got fucking caught with this Tic Tac ship. They're like, why did you go with the Tic Tac? Why did you post it on TikTok? Why did you go with the Tic Tac? Like, you got us fucking caught. That guy was demoted 100%. Do you think that alien was demoted?
Oh my god.
Because you know that it got to the head chief.
They don't care. They're like, videotape us all you fucking want. All these fucking morons aren't gonna believe anyway, so we don't give a fuck. Oh, there's another one videotaping us. Oh, they're gonna post it.
But there's only been one.
They don't care.
Clearly, so I think they do.
Their minds aren't. They don't think like that.
Here's the thing. Here's why I think that
That's why humanity's so scared of them.
Here's why I think they do care is because they were so normally. So if you believe that they've been running missions, tests, whatever they're scouting, whatever it is. They've been running successful missions, not being seen for a very long time. And maybe they get an eyewitness who's like, "Oh, I saw something come out of the water," but they haven't been caught by military personnel. So I think that if they haven't been caught, this is strategic, right? I think it's very strategic, and I think that guy got in trouble. I'm going to say he got in trouble because they've been running missions for the last 10, 20 years.
They don't care.
Why would they not care?
Their mentality.
But then why wouldn't they just come down?
It's not like they're so advanced. Like they speak telepathically. Like they're not having
but we don't
conversations
know that. We don't know that they
like
speak telepathically.
Like,
these ones, the Tic Tacs.
I'm guessing, like just looking at how their crafts function. They're highly
But that's
advanced.
elite. They're highly advanced, but doesn't mean they speak telepathically.
Talk to each other. Like they just fucking do their shit. Maybe give each other an idea in their head and they fucking move on. They don't know.
Well, I mean, they might. We're already like we don't know if they would speak to. We have no idea how they would communicate. Zero ideas on that.
But I'm just saying, like, I think they're so advanced, like getting demoted, like that's.
Oh God.
Like they're from a different planet.
No matter, but I think that. But here's the thing.
Everybody's so scared.
Here's the thing.
They're out of this world. They don't do things like we do.
You seem upset with the whole demoted thing. Have you recently been demoted? Why are you so sensitive about it? Jesus. No, they would never get demoted. You know, there's. So then, if nobody gets demoted, who gets promoted?
Oh my God.
Nobody.
It's
not
like that.
This alien race sounds unfair because you're born into your position and you never go up or go down. Not fair.
No.
But here's the thing why I think that if they didn't care, they'd just be going up and down and there'd be more footage.
There probably is.
But there's not. I mean, there's no, the thing is there could be, yeah, but there's not more eyewitnesses from people flying planes, stuff like that. Like, I think that, and I'm not trying to dispute what this was or trying to determine. I'm just saying that I think that the guy was definitely demoted because he got caught.
Anyways, stay weird.
All right. Thank you for listening. This has been it. And you can find us on Extra Normal Podcast at Instagram, Extra Normal P on Twitter. Email us at extranormalpodcast@gmail.com. Brianna, where they can't find you? Where can they find you?
Where can't they find you?
Where can't they find you?
At Darlene Dolly on Instagram with a 0 instead of a O. My Instagram with my fun alien goodies is _ the dollhouse sparkles _ yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening, and always be friends of aliens.
Always.